You're wasting your time, your money, and worse, you're building a false sense of security that could cost you your life. There are martial arts that work beautifully in air-conditioned gyms, with soft mats, clear rules, and attentive referees. But on the street, where there are no rules, no judges, and the ground is hard concrete, these same martial arts will turn you into a victim. And the worst part? Millions of people around the world are training these arts right now, believing they're preparing to defend themselves. But the brutal truth is, they're being deceived. I know this is going to be controversial. I know practitioners of these arts are going to be furious, but someone needs to have the courage to speak the truth. And today, I'm going to show you exactly which martial arts you should avoid if your goal is real self-defense. It's not about disrespecting traditions. It's not about diminishing cultural or sporting value. It's about one thing: functionality on the street. And if it doesn't work when your life is on the line, then it needs to be said. In the next few minutes, we're going to dissect the most popular martial arts that simply don't work in real fights. I'll show you exactly why they don't work, what dangerous illusions they create, and what you should train instead. Get ready, because a lot of people are going to hate this video. But the truth needs to be told. Traditional Japanese academy, clean mats, practitioners in white kimonos. Fluid, circular, beautiful movements to watch. Partner attacking predictably, being thrown gracefully. Aikido. The art of peace. The martial art that promises to use the opponent's force against themselves. Sounds philosophical, elegant, almost magical. The problem? It doesn't work. Let me tell you a true story. Years ago, an Aikido practitioner with 15 years of training, legitimate black belt, decided to test his skills in a friendly sparring session with an amateur boxer. The boxer had only 6 months of training. What happened? The Aikidoka couldn't apply a single technique. All those beautiful wrist grabs, those circular throws, those elegant joint locks, nothing worked. What? Because the boxer wasn't cooperating. He was really moving with real punches without following the script. Result? The Aikidoka took several clean punches and gave up in less than a minute. 15 years of training versus 6 months, and the 6 months won. First, completely unrealistic training. In Aikido, the uke, attacker, always attacks the way the technique requires. He extends his arm fully, maintains the grip even while being twisted, falls dramatically when he's supposed to fall. It's choreography disguised as combat. On the street, nobody is going to hold your wrist and keep it firm while you do a beautiful technique. Nobody is going to attack with an exaggerated straight punch and leave their arm extended. People move, resist, fight back. Second, zero sparring against real resistance. Aikido simply doesn't do sparring. Never. All training is kata, forms, technique with cooperative partner, demonstration. You never feel the pressure of someone really trying to hit you or dominate you. This creates a giant gap between training and reality. It's like learning to swim by doing movements on dry land. When you fall in real water, you discover you don't know how to swim. Third, excessively complex techniques. Aikido techniques involve multiple steps, perfect timing, opponent cooperation. In the pure adrenaline of a real fight with fear, anger, chaos, you can't execute complex 20-step movements. Fine motor skills disappear under extreme stress. You're left with gross motor skills, punches, pushes, simple movements. Aikido doesn't train that. Fourth, doesn't work against modern punches and kicks. Aikido was developed based on sword and spear attacks from feudal Japan. The attacks you train to defend are stabs with bladed weapons, katana cuts, formal grabs. But on the modern street, people throw boxing punches, Muay Thai kicks, try to take you down with wrestling. Aikido has no answer to this because it never trained for it. Fifth, philosophy hinders functionality. Aikido emphasizes not hurting the opponent, harmony, peaceful movement. That's philosophically beautiful. But in a life or death situation, when you need to stop a threat immediately, this mentality puts you at risk. Look, I respect Aikido as spiritual practice, as exercise, as cultural study. There's value in that. But for real self-defense? It's dangerous illusion. There are videos on YouTube of Aikido masters being completely dominated by MMA fighters, boxers, even beginners in grappling. It's not disrespect, it's reality being tested. If you like the idea of controlling opponents and using their force against them, learn Judo or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. These arts have similar leverage techniques, but with real sparring and competitions that validate whether it works. If you like the throws, Judo is infinitely more effective and tested in real combat. Traditional dojo, students in line practicing katas. Precise movements, low stances, kiai shouts. Colored belts, respect, discipline. Everything very organized, very formal. Karate. one of the most popular martial arts in the world. Millions of practitioners. Hundreds of different styles. And one of the most controversial when we talk about real effectiveness. Important. I'm talking about traditional karate. Not Kyokushin, which has brutal sparring. Not karate for MMA. I'm talking about that classic shopping mall academy karate, point stop, no real contact. First, point fighting creates deadly habits. In traditional competitive karate, you score a point and stop. You lightly touch the opponent, referee stops the fight, resets. On the street, there's no reset. You can't lightly touch the guy and expect him to stop attacking you. Even worse, traditional karateka develop the habit of dropping their hands after attacking. Why? Because in point fighting, after you score, the fight stops. You don't need to defend the counterattack. On the street, this habit puts you to sleep. Second, completely unrealistic distance. Traditional karate fights at a distance that simply doesn't exist in real fights. That long distance where you're jumping around, waiting for the perfect moment for a beautiful reverse punch. On the street, distance is closed. It's grabbing, pushing, short punches, elbows, headbutts. Nobody stays 2 meters away doing pretty guards. And when distance closes, traditional karateka panic because they never train close-range combat. Third, katas don't teach you to fight. Katas are forms, predetermined sequences of movements performed alone. Yes, they help with posture, balance, muscle memory of isolated techniques. But they don't teach timing, don't teach reacting to the unexpected, don't teach feeling real pressure. It's like learning chess by memorizing piece positions without ever playing a real game. You know the forms but you don't know the game. Fourth, impractical techniques under pressure. Many, deadly, traditional karate techniques simply don't work against opponents really trying to hurt you. That beautiful spinning kick? Too slow, leaves you vulnerable. That punch with deep long stance? Too telegraphed, no real speed. Compare with a boxer's jab, fast, direct, efficient. Or a Muay Thai low kick, devastating and practical. Traditional karate has beautiful but inefficient strikes. Fifth, lack of realistic sparring. Many traditional karate schools do sparring, but with rules so restrictive they don't prepare you for anything real. No punches to the face. No low kicks. No grabbing. No takedowns. Basically, without everything that happens in a real fight. You spend years training in a sterilized environment and think you're prepared for street chaos. You're not. Let me be clear, not all karate is useless. Kyokushin karate has brutal full-contact sparring. Karate adapted for kickboxing works. But classic traditional neighborhood academy karate? It's more a physical activity with martial arts costume. There's a famous video of a traditional karate master challenging an MMA fighter. The master had decades of experience, multiple black belts. The MMA fighter had a few years. Result? The master couldn't land one strike and was taken down and submitted in seconds. Painful to watch but revealing. If you like striking, punches and kicks, go to Muay Thai, kickboxing or boxing. All have real sparring, test your skills under pressure, develop real knockout power. If you want discipline and tradition but that works, look for Kyokushin karate or judo, traditional arts that maintain realistic training. Small academy, wooden dummy in the corner, practitioners doing chi-saw, sticky hands. Fast hand movements, simultaneous blocks with attacks, centerline theory. Everything seems efficient, even scientific. Wing Chun. Immortalized by Master Ip Man in the movies. The martial art that supposedly Bruce Lee used as a base. Popular, mysterious, with promises of maximum efficiency against larger opponents. And completely ineffective for real combat. I know. Wing Chun fans are furious now. But let me explain with facts, not emotion. First, Chi-Saw is not sparring. Wing Chun spends a lot of time training Chi-Saw, exercise where two people maintain constant contact on forearms and practice sensitivity and reflexes. Seems cool, develops certain attributes. The problem? In a real fight, nobody keeps their forearms stuck to yours. People throw real punches, kick, move, create angles. Chi-Saw doesn't prepare you for this. It's an artificial game that has no equivalent in reality. Second, doesn't work against fighters who move. Wing Chun was theoretically developed for fighting in tight spaces, supposed origin on boats. The techniques work if the opponent stays still in front of you trading hands with you on the center line. But a boxer who moves, creates angles, uses footwork? A kickboxer who maintains distance with kicks? Wing Chun has no answer. Practitioners never trained against this. There are dozens of videos of Wing Chun masters being destroyed by boxers, kickboxers, MMA fighters. What? Because when the opponent doesn't stand still letting you do chain punches, the techniques simply don't connect. Third, zero defense against takedowns. Wing Chun doesn't train grappling, takedowns, ground fighting. Nothing. If a wrestler or judoka grabs you, you have absolutely no answer. And on the street, takedowns happen all the time. Fourth, weak punches without hip rotation. Wing Chun emphasizes straight, fast punches from the center line without much body rotation. The theory is speed over power. The problem? These punches don't have real knockout power. Compare with a boxer's cross full hip rotation, weight transfer, maximum torque. That punch turns off people. Wing Chun straight punches? They annoy but rarely finish. Fifth, instructors without real combat experience. Here's a huge problem. Most Wing Chun instructors never really fought. Never competed. Never tested their skills against resistance from other arts. They learned from someone who learned from someone, in a long line of theoretical transmission. It's the telephone game of inefficiency. Each generation passes techniques that were never validated in real combat. There's one famous case of a Wing Chun practitioner who works in MMA, Tony Ferguson. But you know what Tony Ferguson has besides Wing Chun? Boxing, college-level wrestling, BJJ black belt, Muay Thai. In other words, he's complete. Wing Chun is seasoning, not the main dish. Wing Chun sells a seductive fantasy. Pure technique beats brute force. A small practitioner can defeat giant opponents using scientific principles of angles and structure. In theory, beautiful. In practice? It doesn't work. Size, strength, athletic speed, real sparring experience, all of this matters a lot. And Wing Chun doesn't adequately develop any of these attributes. If you like the idea of fast punches and hand defense, learn boxing. You'll have the best hand game on the planet, tested in millions of sparring rounds. If you want something complete, MMA or combination of boxing plus BJJ will give you everything Wing Chun promises but doesn't deliver. Park in the morning, elderly people moving in slow motion. Fluid, graceful movements, almost like dance. Controlled breathing, peace, tranquility. Beautiful to watch. Tai Chi Chuan. The martial art most practiced by people over 60. Sold as meditation in movement, low-impact exercise, cultivation of internal energy, Qi. And here's the truth nobody wants to admit. Tai Chi is not functional martial art. Never was. It's Chinese calisthenics with Taoist philosophy. First, training speed completely divorced from reality. Tai Chi is practiced in super slow motion. The theory is that slow movements develop control, structure, sensitivity. The obvious problem? Fights don't happen in slow motion. They happen at maximum speed, explosive, chaotic. Training only slow doesn't prepare you for fast. It's like training for running by walking slowly. It doesn't make sense. Second, based completely on mystical concepts. Tai Chi talks a lot about Qi, internal energy, vital force flow. None of this is measurable, testable, or real in terms of combat. There's no Qi ball you throw at the opponent. There's no internal energy that knocks people down without touch. It's mysticism, not martiality. Third, practitioners never do sparring. Tai Chi simply doesn't include real combat in the curriculum. It's all forms push hands theory. You never put on gloves and test if it works against someone really trying to knock you out. Result? Practitioners with decades of experience have no idea how to react to a real punch coming at real speed. There's an infamous video in China of a Tai Chi master who challenged an amateur MMA fighter. The master had over 40 years of practice, was famous, respected. The fight lasted less than 10 seconds. The MMA fighter knocked him out with a simple punch. The master didn't even see it coming. This caused a huge scandal in China because it exposed an inconvenient truth. Traditional martial arts masters without real combat experience are just expensive dancers. Fourth, martial applications are purely theoretical. Tai Chi has applications, martial interpretations of form movements. In theory, each movement can be used to block, deflect, attack. In practice, it's never tested. It's never applied against real resistance. They're just stories. This movement is for defending a punch and breaking the opponent's elbow. Cool. But does it work? Nobody knows because nobody tests it. Yes, but not as martial art. Tai Chi is excellent for low-impact exercise for elderly, improving balance and coordination, meditative practice, stress reduction, injury recovery. These are real and important values. But self-defense? No. Preparation for street fighting? Absolutely not. If you want the health benefits without the martial illusion, continue Tai Chi but be aware of its limitations. If you want real self-defense, you need to train arts with real sparring. boxing, Muay Thai, BJJ, judo, wrestling, MMA. By the way, before continuing to the next martial art, comment below which city you're watching from. I want to know where our community of people seeking truth about martial arts is, not comforting fantasies. Temple on mountain top, monks training with ancient weapons. Acrobatic jumps, spinning kicks, animal stances. Shaolin, Wushu, dozens of styles with exotic names. Visually impressive. Kung Fu. The most romanticized martial art in cinema. Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, Jet Li movies. Everyone grew up dreaming of doing those impossible movements. And here's the hard truth. Cinematic Kung Fu is artistic performance, not combat system. First, excessively dependent on forms, katas. Traditional Kung Fu spends years teaching forms, choreographed sequences of movements. You memorize dozens, maybe hundreds of different forms. The problem? Memorizing choreography doesn't teach you to fight. It's like memorizing theater plays and thinking that makes you an actor. Without improvisation, without reacting to the unexpected, without real sparring, you don't develop combat skills. Second, excessively complex and impractical movements. Many Kung Fu styles have techniques that look like they came from fantasy movies. 720-degree spinning kick. Extremely low stances that destroy your knees. Attacks that require 15 steps of setup. In the reality of a fight, high adrenaline, fear, chaos, you can't execute complex movements. Fine motor skills disappear. You're left with simple, direct, brutal movements. Kung Fu doesn't train that adequately. Third, much performance, little combat. Modern Wushu especially became acrobatic sport. It's beautiful. It's athletic. It's impressive. But it's not fighting. They're martial gymnasts doing artistic performances. And many traditional Kung Fu schools followed this path. More concerned with preserving ancient forms and training for demonstrations than developing effective fighters. Fourth, lack of realistic sparring. Most traditional Kung Fu schools don't do real sparring. When they do, it's highly choreographed or with rules so restrictive they don't simulate real combat. Without real resistance, without someone really trying to knock you out or submit you, you never develop real timing, real defense, ability to absorb and return strikes. Fifth, Sanda/Sanzho works, but it's not traditional Kung Fu. Here's an important detail. There's Sanda, also called Sanzho, which is Chinese kickboxing. That works. It has full contact sparring, real competitions, real knockouts. But Sanda isn't traditional Kung Fu. It's essentially kickboxing/Muay Thai with some Chinese wrestling elements. The guys who do Sanda and work? They're doing real combat arts, not traditional forms. If you find a legitimate Sanda school with real sparring and competitions, that can work. But don't be fooled, it's not movie Kung Fu. It's basically Chinese kickboxing. If you like Eastern aesthetics and philosophy, look for Muay Thai, also Asian but brutally effective, or legitimate Sanda/Sanzho. If you want real combat skills, the answer continues to be boxing, Muay Thai, BJJ, wrestling, judo, MMA. Capoeira, Rota, Barimba playing, people singing. Two capoeiristas in the center doing fluid acrobatic movements. Ginga, o Maialua Martelo. Incredible Afro-Brazilian cultural expression. Capoeira. Cultural heritage of Brazil. Art that combines dance, music, acrobatics, resistance philosophy. Culturally rich and important. But for street fighting? Problematic. First, movements too acrobatic and risky. Capoeira has beautiful movements, without hands, parafusos, inverted movements. But on the street, where the ground is irregular concrete, often dirty or wet, doing acrobatics is asking to get hurt. A poorly calculated cartwheel, on an irregular sidewalk? You twist your wrist or hit your head. Inverted movements when your opponent can simply kick you? Tactical suicide. Second, unrealistic distance and timing. Capoeira is played, not fought, at a specific distance, with specific rhythm, in a Rota context with unwritten rules. Both practitioners respect each other's space, wait for moments to enter and exit. In a real fight, there's no such respect. The guy will advance, grab you, punch you when you're in the middle of a beautiful movement. Won't wait for you to complete your sequence. Third, little focus on defense against punches and takedowns. Capoeira trains mainly kicks and evasive movements. Defense against boxing punches? Limited. Defense against wrestling takedowns? Practically non-existent. If a boxer closes the distance and starts landing hooks on your head, or if a wrestler takes you down, Capoeira didn't prepare you for this. Fourth, Rota culture is not combat culture. The Capoeira Rota has its own etiquette, philosophy, energy. It's about body dialogue, not about dominating the opponent. That's culturally beautiful but doesn't develop real combat mentality. When you need to stop a real threat, quickly, violently if necessary, the Rota philosophy doesn't serve you. Yes, capoeira develops excellent physical conditioning, superior body coordination, incredible flexibility, spatial awareness, rich community and culture. And some capoeira kicks, when adapted and trained realistically, can be effective. Anderson Silva, MMA fighter, used some capoeira movements successfully. But Anderson also had elite Muay Thai, boxing, BJJ black belt, wrestling. Capoeira alone? Insufficient. Capoeira as athletic complement for a complete fighter? Can add unique elements. If you love capoeira for the culture, music, community, continue. But be aware it's not adequate preparation for self-defense. For real defense, add boxing for defense against punches, BJJ or judo for defense against takedowns and ground fighting, and Muay Thai for efficient kicks and clinch. Dark Academy, practitioners in black uniforms, decorative ninja weapons on walls. Secret techniques, stealthy movements, promises of deadly efficiency. Selling ninja fantasy. Modern ninjutsu. Or more specifically, most schools that sell ninja training in the 21st century. Let's be clear, real historical ninjas were spies, saboteurs, assassins. They weren't martial arts masters in the sense of hand-to-hand combat. They were specialists in infiltration, intelligence, poison, stealthy assassination. Modern ninjutsu schools? Majority is pure fantasy. First, impossible to verify authenticity. Traditional ninjutsu supposedly comes from secret schools of feudal Japan. The problem? There are no reliable historical records. No verifiable lineage. Anyone can say they learned secret ninja techniques, and there's no way to prove or disprove it. This opens the door for charlatans. And there are many charlatans selling deadly ninjutsu, based on absolutely nothing beyond imagination and bad movies. Second, excessive focus on archaic weapons. Many ninjutsu schools spend enormous time teaching use of katanas, shurikens, ninja stars, kusarigama, chain with sickle, and other weapons you'll never have in modern self-defense. Knowing how to use a sword doesn't help you when someone attacks you in the parking lot. Knowing how to throw shuriken doesn't defend you against a real punch. Third, techniques not tested in real sparring. Most ninjutsu schools don't do realistic sparring. Everything is demonstration with cooperative partner. Deadly techniques that were never tested against someone really resisting. And when ninjutsu practitioners try to fight against other arts in sparring or competition, they're consistently dominated. This isn't opinion, it's observable pattern. Fourth, sells illusion of efficiency without hard work. Many ninjutsu schools sell the fantasy that you can learn deadly secret techniques that make you dangerous without needing the brutal sparring, extreme conditioning, years of training that legitimate arts require. It's seductive lie. People want to believe there's a shortcut, that there's secret knowledge that overcomes hard work. There isn't. A boxer who trains 3 times a week with real sparring for 6 months will destroy a ninjutsu practitioner with 5 years of theatrical training. Every time. Fifth, frequently associated with frauds and McDojo. Unfortunately, modern ninjutsu attracted many charlatans. Self-proclaimed masters selling black belts for money, inventing false lineages, promising impossible abilities. Are there legitimate ninjutsu schools focused on historical and cultural preservation? Maybe a few. But the vast majority is exploitation of popular ninja fantasy. If you want real efficiency in combat, the answers continue to be the same arts with real sparring and verifiable competitions. Boxing, Muay Thai, BJJ, Judo, wrestling, MMA. If you like ninja aesthetics and traditional weapons, treat it as historical and cultural hobby, not as self-defense. We've reached the end of this analysis and I know a lot of people are irritated. Practitioners of these arts dedicated years, sometimes decades, to training. They invested money, time, emotion. But here's the inconvenient truth that needs to be said. Intention doesn't determine effectiveness. It doesn't matter how much you love your martial art. It doesn't matter how much you believe in it. It doesn't matter how many hours you dedicated. If it wasn't tested against real resistance and honest sparring in competitions where losing has consequences, you don't know if it works. And not knowing in a life or death situation can cost you everything. First question, does the art have sparring against full resistance? If the answer is no, it doesn't work. Simple as that. You can't learn to swim without getting in the water. You can't learn to fight without fighting. Second question, does the art compete against other arts? If practitioners of this art avoid open competitions where they can face boxers, wrestlers, Muay Thai practitioners, there's a reason. They know deep down it won't work. Third question, has the art produced verifiable effective fighters? Boxing produced thousands of champions. Muay Thai dominates striking. BJJ revolutionized combat. Wrestling is the base of MMA champions. These arts have verifiable results. Aikido, traditional Kung Fu, Wing Chun, Tai Chi, modern ninjutsu, where are their champions? Where are the documented victories in real combat against other arts? They don't exist. And that says everything. Look, I understand. These arts carry history, philosophy, culture from their countries of origin. That has value. Real value. But don't confuse cultural value with martial effectiveness. You can respect Aikido tradition without believing it works in street fighting. You can appreciate capoeira's beauty without thinking it prepares you for self-defense. Preserve the culture. Respect the history. But don't put your safety in the hands of untested techniques. Here's the systemic problem. There's a billion-dollar industry of martial arts academies that sell illusion. They know most people will never test their skills in real combat. So they sell colored belts, pretty certificates, and false senses of security. It's easier to sell Aikido to middle-class families than Muay Thai with brutal sparring. It's more comfortable to do Kung Fu forms than take real punches in boxing sparring. It's safer, for the ego, to do cooperative ninjutsu techniques than be repeatedly choked in BJJ. McDojo capitalizes on people's desire to feel powerful without doing the hard, painful, humiliating work of really learning to fight. I've said in other videos, but it's worth repeating here. Arts that work have 3 characteristics. 1. Sparring against real resistance. 2. Competitions that test skills. 3. Proven track record in real combat. The arts that pass this test. Boxing, best hand game on the planet. Muay Thai, complete striking with brutal knockouts. Kickboxing, solid alternative to Muay Thai. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, ground domination and submissions. Judo, devastating throws and control. Wrestling, control of where the fight happens. MMA, complete combination of all above. Kyokushin Karate, the version of karate that really works. Sanda/Sanzho, Chinese kickboxing with throws. Sambo, complete Russian combat art. Notice the pattern? All these arts have real sparring and verifiable competitions. First, don't feel bad. You weren't dumb. You were deceived by an entire industry and centuries of marketing. Second, you have options. Option 1. Continue training your art for cultural value, exercise, community, but ADD and effective art for real defense. Many people do this. Train Aikido for philosophy and boxing to really know how to fight. Option 2. Switch completely to an effective art. It will be humiliating at first. You'll get beaten by people with less total training time but more time in real sparring. Your ego will suffer. But you'll really learn to defend yourself. Option 3. Accept that your art is hobby, not self-defense. That's completely valid. Not everyone needs to know how to fight. But be honest with yourself about what you're doing. If you're an instructor of Aikido, Wing Chun, traditional Kung Fu, or any art that doesn't do real sparring, you have moral responsibility. Stop selling self-defense. Stop promising your students will be safe on the street. Be honest, this is exercise, culture, philosophy, not functional combat. Or better yet, ADD real sparring to your curriculum. Test your techniques against resistance. Let your students spar with boxers, wrestlers, Muay Thai practitioners. If your techniques work, they'll survive the test. If they don't work, change. Honesty is responsibility. Even with effective art, understand, the street is different from academy and competition. On the street there can be multiple attackers, weapons, knives, firearms, bats, bottles, irregular terrain, poor lighting, total surprise, severe legal consequences. The best self-defense continues to be 1. Awareness, perceiving danger before it happens. 2. Avoidance, not being in dangerous places. 3. Verbal de-escalation, talking your way out. 4. Escape, running when possible. Physical combat is last option. But if it comes to that option, you want to have trained something that really works. I know this video is going to generate controversy. I know practitioners will comment defending their arts. I know some will insult me. But someone needs to tell the truth. People are spending years of their lives and thousands of dollars on martial arts that won't protect them. They're building false sense of security. And in some cases this can cost lives. If this video saved one person from years of useless training, every criticism I'll receive was worth it. If you're training martial arts for self-defense, Ask these questions at your academy. 1. Do we do sparring against real resistance regularly? 2. Have our instructors ever competed or fought against other arts? 3. Do we have students who tested these techniques in real situations? If the answers are no, 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 you're in a McDojo. Look for another academy. Comment below. 1. Do you train or have you trained any of the arts I mentioned? What was your honest experience? 2. Which city are you watching from? I want to see where our community that seeks truth is. 3. Do you agree or disagree? I want honest debate, not insults. If you disagree, bring arguments and evidence. If this video opened your eyes to the reality of martial arts, if it helped you make a more informed decision, leave a like. This helps the content reach more people who need this information. Subscribe to the channel because we'll continue diving deep into the truth about real combat. No fantasy, no illusion selling, no political correctness. Just raw truth. Next video, the 5 most effective martial arts for women, because female self-defense has specific needs that most instructors ignore. Remember, respect all traditions, honor all cultures. But when your life is on the line, choose what works. The truth hurts, but lies can kill you. Train with wisdom. Question everything. And truly protect yourselves. Until the next video, warriors of truth.